So I seen a post yesterday, and I'm not 100% sure I'll post this. So if you see it, obviously I did, but it kind of prompted me to kind of think about my own journey with like having children and not being able to have any more children because I never really publicly speak about it. Obviously, I have three children that I've birthed. My firstborn, and then 5.5, 6 years later, I had a set of twins, and that's all the children that I have biologically. Um, so after I had my twins, I had my tubes tied, and they were cut, burn, and tied because I was like, absolutely not. It was a high risk pregnancy, and then also, um, they said that I was 4 out of 5 times likely to have twins again, just because twins run in my family. My mom has twins, my grandma have twins, my great grandma had two sets of twins. So I was like, absolutely not. Like in that time and space, I wasn't trying, but I wasn't preventing, and I cannot imagine having to have picked one or the other. Um, I wasn't like really ecstatic with having twins because, like I said, I wasn't trying, but I wasn't preventing. But I like I said, I love them. I'm happy they're both here, especially too like having a high risk pregnancy and all the things that they were trying to speak over my son while I was pregnant and how little my daughter was. Like even for twins, I went to 38 weeks and my daughter was 4 pounds 10 ounces, and my son was 5 pounds 11 ounces. So they were still pretty small. But I never really thought about just simply a woman like, oh, do you want to have more kids or do you want kids who didn't? It just to me as a woman, it seemed like a friendly conversation to have, about kids and stuff like that. Because some women will tell you like, no, I don't want kids or whatever, but you really don't know what be going on behind closed doors. So like I said, it always takes kind of you to experience something to kind of put things in perspective. Like I said, when I had them, like I had an emergency C-section, my tubes were also tied. So I still had a uterus, still had tubes, still had ovaries, all that stuff. And then years later, I started to have like heavier cycles and clotting and all those things. And I was getting checked every year for fibroids, and they always came back. The test always came back negative. The ultrasounds always came back negative until it didn't. They said I had fibroids, and there were other options. Um, it was a couple of different things they could have done, but the last one was hysterectomy. And in my head, I had already had my tubes tied. I already had three kids. At that space in life, it was like, oh, well, whoever I get with, they're going to have to love these kids. I'm not doing this anymore. I don't want multiple baby daddies. Like, just the space I was in life, I was like, dog, like, I'm not doing this again. My pregnancies weren't the best. And so I opted for the hysterectomy. Now, I still have tubes. I still have um, eggs. I just now can't conceive or carry a kid naturally, the way we're meant to. And I ain't gonna lie, as a woman, that fucked me for a minute. Like, because I feel like, I mean, we're so many things, but I feel like the main stuff to do is, make babies, carry babies. And then now that I'm married, in love, happy with my best friend and all that, and we don't have kids together, it bothers me. And you know what's crazy? People be so fucking insensitive about it sometimes. Because I've had somebody like throw my ability to not have kids in my face. And like at one point I was an unhealed person about that. It did bother me a lot. Just for the simple fact that, like I said, me and my husband don't have children together. But my therapist really helped me with something, and I'm not gonna lie, for a long time I didn't lean into it. I kind of still let it consume me when I would get to getting in my head about stuff like that. But first of all, and it maybe not apply to everybody, for me, my therapist was saying it's of course not having that connection with my husband, but you don't only connect with your spouse through having children, starting businesses, breaking generational curses. The family is as blended as it's gonna be right now. But like we have created a blended family. We have so many goals. We have so many plans. I've never had a 10-year plan. I've never had like all of these things that we have. So just because we don't share a child in common doesn't mean that we're not connected. Shit, we honestly probably more connected than some people that have kids together, if we're being honest. Um, so and that's not saying, no shade or nothing, but some people you got kids with, you don't even like your baby mama to be daddy. So but anyway, it was one of those things where I had to kind of experienced something like that to deal with it. Because now when people say things like, "Oh, you guys gonna have a baby," it's like, yeah, but that's another thing. People are not responsible for like your traumas or your triggers or things like that. Like, especially if they don't know. Like, you can't get mad if somebody asks an honest question. It's kind of up to you to handle that the way you do. And I noticed for me that was a space where it would kind of trigger me. It would kind of make me feel a little sad. But first of all, like I said, I talked to my therapist and she was like, just you maybe don't even want a new baby. Your kids are big. My kids are 19 and 13. Hell, I look like starting over with a newborn. Excuse me. Like, I'm closer to being a grandma than a mom of a new baby anyway. But giving me things to do, because the big problem too for me is like my kids are so big and so independent now. They don't necessarily need me. And for a good chunk of my life, it's been my kids, my kids. Like, I had to learn over the past couple of years to put me in there. Um, and that's really important, because people who pour their 100% all into their kids, when you don't have no kids, you don't know what the hell to do. And not to be about your kids, but it's just, make sure you have you and know you, so that when your kids grow up and don't need you, you're not spiraling and looking all over the place for, something. But yeah, no, like, I really got into gardening, and gardening is just like, it's not just like, but it's just like raising a baby. You literally plant a seed, you nourish it, you watch it grow, you give it the vitamins and nutrients and all those things that it needs, and then you get the fruit or the veggie. That's the baby. I mean, granted, we eat it, but you get what I'm saying. Um, but yeah, it's just, some people don't have ill intent when they're asking things, and some people do have hella ill intent when they try to make you feel away because you can no longer carry kids, especially if it's something you told that person in confidence. Um, I just said all that to say, like, you don't know nobody's struggles. You don't know where nobody's mental space is. And had I been still in that negative mental space when my ability to carry kids was thrown in my face, I would have probably lost my shit. But I'm in such a better space now. And like I said, me and my husband, we're going to do so many great things. And not saying kids aren't great, but so many great things that are not just related to having children. And if anybody else needed to hear that, and you are with somebody and y'all don't have kids together, yeah, it can sting. Other things may not substitute it, but that's something I don't think you should let consume you, because it can have you in a negative space. I'm in like the first majority happy relationship that I've been in, and for me to let not having a child with him like take away from that would be crazy. But that's it. That's all. I don't went on for longer than I meant to.